Good day everyone. We are the group 5 and today we are going to tackle about the community empowerment. So here are the topics that we're going to discuss. The definitions of community empowerment, the purpose of community empowerment, the elements of community empowerment, characteristic of community empowerment, how to empower a community, and lastly, tips for youth who want to volunteer. So here, first of all, what is community? Community is a group of people that may or may not be specially connected but who share common interests, concerns, or identities. So it could be local, national, or international with specific or broad interests. Like for example, kanang sports club, mga youth groups, or mga organizations. Next is empower. Empower is to give someone the authority or power to do something. For example is kita. Mo-help ta sa atong family to empower them nga mobuhat sa mga butang nga they think dili nila kayang buhaton. The next is empowerment. Empowerment is the degree of autonomy and self-determination in people and in communities. Like for example, sa usa ka company, you should be consistent because empowerment is not a reward an employer can give or take away on a whim. While small adjustments are okay, your employees won't feel truly empowered if they know their autonomy might be revoked at any moment. So every employee should enjoy the same basic privileges to maintain a sense of unity and inclusivity in your workplace. So power base. Power base is a source of authority. Bases of power refer to the methods that managers and leaders utilize to influence their employees. When examining bases of power, the concept of authority must also be considered. Next is volunteers. Volunteers are people who freely offers to take part in an enterprise or undertake a task, such as a person who enters into military service voluntarily. Then, next is volunteerism. Volunteerism refers to the involvement of a volunteer labor, especially in community services. Sama anang naimabot nga disaster, mo volunteer ba ka gripak sa mga food relief or mo donate ba karon og blood, mo na ang volunteerism. And lastly is sustainability. Sustainability is the ability to be maintained something at a certain rate or level. Everything that we need for our survival and well-being depends either directly or indirectly on our natural environment. Sustainability creates and maintains the conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony. Example aning sustainability is magplant kag mga utanon baron or fruits. Then instead nga mag-car, lakaw na lang or magbike para di masamot ang air pollution.
Community empowerment refers to the process of enabling communities to increase control over their lives. Therefore, it is more than the involvement, participation, or engagement of community. It implies community ownership and action that explicitly aims at social and political change. Example of this is the education problem at the past. A small percentage of people can continue studying college in the past because it's so hard. Like the people in the provinces cannot continue their study because it is so far from their places. Because in the past, the universities and colleges, schools were in the city only. So the people in provinces needs more money to spend for their studies. So it's difficult. That's a big problem in the past. Now we thankful to our government that it give opportunity to us that we can continue our study. Like government offers scholarship and many state universities now that are open in some towns in Cebu or in whole country. So now we have opportunity to continue our studies in college. That's an example of negotiating power in order to gain more control. So you give the solution in the specific problem. Community empowerment necessarily addresses the social, cultural, political, and economic determinants that underpin health and seeks to build partnership with other sectors to find solutions. Globalization adds another dimensions to the process of community empowerment. Into this world, the local and global and are inextricably linked. Action on one cannot ignore the influence of or impact on the other. Community empowerment also recognizes that strategically acts upon the interlinkage and ensures that power is shared locally and globally. Example of this is during the pandemic, and our government and Philippine health organizations cooperate or discuss that problem on how to control this problem on how to avoid spreading this virus. So after that, they have an solution. They buy vaccines, facial face mask in order to control the spreading of virus. So because of the cooperations of every sectors, nakahimo sila og specific solution of that problem. And globalization plays a big role in community empowerment. So globalization is, ang example ni is the other country trades their product. Example in the pandemic, China trades their vaccines in order to help our country to control the spreading of virus. Community empowerment recognizes that it strategically acts upon the interlinkage and ensures that power is shared locally and globally. Example of this, the shared globally is the other country trade their products or in a pandemic time trades their vaccines to our country. Na itawag og connectedness. And in shared and locally, we notice that the Philippine health organizations operate vaccination not only in urban areas but also in rural areas. So we notice that fair of distributing the vaccine because we notice that all can avail the vaccine. In conclusion of community empowerment, partnership, connectedness, and unity plays a big role to obtain a solution in the specific problem. Because of without partnership and connectedness and cooperations, we cannot handle our and solve our problems by ourselves only.
Purpose of community empowerment: build an early care, health, and education system through partnership. All parties and communities work together to improve the community. So this means that all participants, which can families, local government, poroks, healthcare workers, doctors, and private sectors, they help together to improve the community. Next is empower individuals and communities. To empower someone means to give them the means to achieve something. For example, to become stronger or more successful. You must delegate effectively and empower people to carry out their rules with your full support. So, in empowered communities is a new way of working. Empowered communities as a transformational reform that aims to empower communities by empowering people. So, helping themselves and to help others to fulfill their goal and dreams. It works downside up, while traditional there is an upside down approach where the leaders will say what is good for the people, and empowered community means the people themselves will decide what is good for them and the role of the leaders is to give them the mean to accomplish this. Require this delegation so that the people and local government have the authorities to make their own plan. The central government and the leaders will not interfere in details. They will only safeguard the people and the community. And the next is improve the well-being of young children and their families. To give the parents the means to take care of the young children, to provide enough playground and daycare center so that they can grow up in a stable community. And lastly is the achievements. The achievement will be a strong basis of a society, strong and independent people.
Next topics are the element of community empowerment. In the following section, develops this further by looking at four key elements of community empowerment. First, access to information. Second, inclusion and participation. Third, accountability. Fourth, local organization capacity. When we say access to information, it is the right of access to information empowers citizens to obtain information held by public bodies with limited exceptions. It encompasses a right to request and receive information as well as obligation for governments to publish information proactively. It a right of us people para matagan og lungsuranon nga kasayuran. It is also a obligation sa gobyerno sa pagmantala sa aktibo nga impormasyon. Second, inclusion and participation. Full and effective inclusion and participation means that society is organized to enable all people, including children with developmental disabilities, to take part fully in all aspects of life. They organize full active inclusions para sa pag-participate to enable lakip ang mga bata nga naay diferensya o kakulangan. Next is accountability. It is the quality or state of being accountable, especially an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's action. Public official lacking accountability. It is a kalidad nga tulubagon og obligasyon nga anda mo dawat sa responsibilidad nga maoy manubag. And the fourth last is local organizational capacity. Refers to the potential of a child welfare system to be productive and effective. Child welfare system can realize this potential by developing their human and organizational assets and using them to successfully implement effective policies, programs, and practices. Usa siya ka potential nga sistema para sa kayuhan sa mga bata aron mahimong produktibo ug epektibo. Usa siya ka pag-awhag para matuman ang maayo nga polisiya nga paghimuon.
Characteristics of community empowerment. Employee feel empowered and respected. When we see employee feel empowered and respected, they are more willing to go the extra mile for the team and the business. They take ownership of their work. Now, how to take broad interest to take the business to the next level? Process of personal development. It is a way for people to assess their skills and qualities, consider their aims in life, and set goals in order to realize and maximize their potential. When we say process of personal development, it begins with our own self-discovery and continues to self-actualization. So, before you can develop into the person you want to become, we must start by finding out who we are and the skills and the abilities that we possess. Different from delegation of authority. Delegation of authority means division of authority and power downward to subordinate. It is the process of transferring responsibility for the task to another employee. Employees are trusted and valued. Trusted employees feel more valued, which will them to make feel more engaged in their work. So if you trust and value your employee, they will be more dedicated to serve customers well and the company and ultimately manners.
Open and responsive culture. Cultural responsiveness is a new way of thinking about culture. It means being open to new ideas that may conflict with the ideas, beliefs, and values of your own culture, and being able to see these differences as equal. For example, in many cultures, spiritual beliefs are an important part of overall well being. Employee assumes managerial and staff responsibility. A staff manager is a professional who oversees a team of employees, providing them with information and guidance. They work in a variety of different industries and departments. In general, they are responsible for keeping their team motivated and performing at its best. Empowering not means someone else to lose it. Empowering employees means giving your team members permission to take action and make decisions within your organization. It also means there is trust and understanding in place to ensure goals. Empowering employees is important for growing a sustainable business. So, how to empower a community? In order to empower a community, that is to involve groups of people in engagement activities. It may be necessary to develop a campaign. However, we should bear in mind that a campaign based on other motivational grounds beside community welfare fails the whole purpose of community empowerment.
Tips for youth who want to volunteer. 1. Take the lead. Is there an issue in your community that you would like to see addressed? If you're not sure where to begin, as a parent, teacher, or community leader to help you to get started and then see how you can make a difference. 2. Get your friends involved and meet new people too. Volunteering with old and new friends can be lots of fun, and it also a great way to boost your confidence. 3. Find your inner hero. Have you dreamed of being a doctor or a firefighter? So you can check out opportunities at local hospitals and fire departments to get glimpse of what community heroes are doing and to make a difference as part of their team.
Want to volunteer. Number 4. Ask your school about group opportunities. So you should ask your school if there is club or group of students in which you can do service and know each other better. Next, talk to your coach or instructor. So, if you engage in the sport, you ask your coach in order to know better your teammates. Next, talk with your parents, friends, teachers, and other adults about your volunteer activities. Talk to the people you know about volunteer activities and encourage them to participate in the activity. And lastly, volunteer with your family. Volunteer with your family in volunteer activities.